How are we doing, everyone? We are back. Dags did not cancel us after one episode. We're back for episode two. I'm Nick, and I'm here with my good friend Aaron. We've also got someone here from the mountains of California. Hope the snow isn't coming down too hard. How you doing, Aaron?
Well, I've been upstairs at work in a sweaty, unair conditioned room and it's been stinking hot. I was just saying I'm lucky I've got my hat on because that absorbed all the sweat. But apart from that, I'm doing fine, ready to talk another round of Docky Who.
Fantastic. Well, I think we will jump straight into our first segment, the WWW Ever Fear. What have we got on the agenda today?
Well, it's interesting because the Web of Fear looks at things that are being said online and around the internet, and we discuss some of the more interesting things that we find. And we're actually highlighting our own show from last week, where some of the comments were, "Hey, where's Maxwell?" Which is Dags, who usually hosts the shows, not this one with us. And where's my little bro? Well, we pointed this out to Dags because I don't know if he saw it. And in our production meeting straight after last week's show, his comment was, quote, "as if I would be on this effing thing." So there you go. We're totally transparent as to what goes on behind the scenes here.
Yeah, so hence we're very surprised we did not get cancelled and we're back for episode two. But jumping into a more serious matter, we have the proper Web of Fear. And Aaron, you've been saying there's some Simpsons sort of stuff going on around these parts.
Yeah, anyone who remembers our DNA reviews, we'd get the conspiracy stuff going where we'd try and analyze what was going on in the show. And I don't know if anyone remembers, we were the first ones to call that Carol Ann Ford was coming back because it was written on the wall in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So they predicted that Carol Ann Ford was coming back, and we put it up as a joke, and it actually happened. But one of those series that has had a long history of predicting stuff happening and then coming to pass is The Simpsons. And this goes right back 30, 40 years, as long as The Simpsons has been going. And there's some parallels coming up with Simpsons episodes that we've seen happen in the recent history of the show.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll jump into that then. Over at Bad Wolf Studios, we've got Russell T. What have we got here?
Well, everyone will remember the episode of The Simpsons, I guess if you've watched it, where The Simpsons go into witness protection. And you have Homer saying, "Pack up, everyone, we're going to go and move under the sea." And this is exactly what happened at Bad Wolf Studios. We had the Doctor Who not being really received as well as it could be. And Russell T Davies, what was his reaction to this, Nick?
I think he's decided we must go swim with the fishes.
Yes. So we have the whole production change to the war between the land and the sea, and they go under the sea.
Excellent. Well, as well, there were many more things that you've highlighted are very Simpsons-esque.
Yes, another one of the episodes you had Troy McClure, who marries Selma in an episode of Fish Called Selma to, I guess, give the public perception that he's not gay. And he admits that he has a weird sexual fetish. And Selma asks him, "Are you gay?" And he's like, "I wish, because then everything would be fine." No, he has a different perversion that he doesn't want anyone else to know about. And it is revealed by Fat Tony. And what does Fat Tony say, Nick?
I have no idea. I've never seen the episode.
Oh, there it's well. That's why I had it highlighted in the slide. He says, "Troy McClure, you said he was dead," and I'm like, "No, that's not what he said. I said he sleeps with the fishes," and
There you go.
that's
There
exactly
you
what
go.
happened. Russell Tovey sleeps with the fishes, and we've got the parallels in what happened in The Simpsons and what happened in the war between the land and the sea, right there.
Well, there you go. For anyone who are okay, there you go. Donna Pass Whiskey. Thank you for that. Um, well, I could see there were a lot of different comparisons, but for us fans in Australia, we actually technically haven't seen War Between the Land and the Sea because it hasn't been airing here in Australia. It is instead on BBC iPlayer and Disney haven't put it up here yet. But we did, for some reason, get a full documentary that went for about 35 minutes, dropped on YouTube today for the whole world to see, which covers the entire show that the rest of the world hasn't seen yet.
Yes, and that's what our little Simpsons thing actually leads into. It's been around on the internet a lot this week, or the last couple of days, about the deep dive, the war between the land and the sea. And I don't understand. Look, it's good. We can see it. It's on YouTube. It's not region blocked. Everyone can watch it. But even the Doctor Who confidentials that we had, or the what confidential is now, I've forgotten what they're calling it, was behind
Unleashed.
Unleashed was behind a region block, so you couldn't see it. And they've given us this that we can see, and we haven't even got to see the series yet, which makes me kind of think, are Disney ever going to do it, or is it going to wind up in the Disney graveyard where Willow wound up? At least Willow was shown. But if the BBC aren't working with Disney anymore, and Disney think it's not going to get any ratings, Disney could just bury it for the rest of the world, and it would be one of the few Doctor Who products that isn't available outside. I think the United Kingdom get it, don't they? But
yeah, that's
it is
about
one
it.
of those things.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it is one of those things where it is very strange for us to be able to see the making of when we haven't even got the series, which kind of says to me maybe we won't get the series. Get your orders in for the DVD. You were pointing out about that though.
Yes, well, the DVD, the main selling point for it was that there was going to be this documentary making of, which has now just dropped on YouTube at no additional cost to anybody. And it then harks back to what Pete McTighe said at Gallifrey 1, the Doctor Who convention that was in LA last weekend, not the one that just happened, the one before. And he was asked by the US fans, when are we going to get to see the show? And he said he has no idea, just VPN it. So I guess Pete McTighe, the showrunner of the show, is saying, everyone, get out your VPN, make a BBC iPlayer account, pretend you're British, and give the show a watch.
I do wonder if it's the BBC firing across the bows of Disney, because the BBC have the commercial rights to release it in Europe, and the rest of the world is Disney. I presume it will be getting a release locally, like the last two series of Doctor Who have. But if Disney and the BBC have fallen out, so Disney put the selling point for this up for free, maybe they're saying back to Disney, stuff you. Like, if you were going to play around with us, we're just going to take that sort of edge off the content that people are expecting. We're expecting to get exclusively on the Blu-ray. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised that we do get probably a DVD release down here. I know Mad Men Entertainment have just released the first season of Disney Doctor Who on DVD and Blu-ray. That's at JB Hi-Fi, but the official DVD and Blu-ray from the UK comes out next week. It's available to pre-order on Amazon and all of those different international websites. So if you are interested in giving it a watch and don't want to go down the VPN route, want to give your money to the BBC, definitely give that a pre-order. I think is probably the way to go.
Yeah. And have you actually watched the documentary?
I have. I gave it a watch today. It was actually pretty good. It was better than the Unleashed stuff that we've been getting. It felt a lot more like the old confidentials from back in RTD1 era. And it was really interesting to see how they did it. Yeah, obviously a lot. Yes, give it a binge tonight. If you're in London, give it a watch while you can. Yeah, it was really interesting to see the way that they did all the special effects and everything, and also to see how they designed the Sea Devils for this modern era, because my God, are we glad we got the designs we did, because the ones that they were planning at the beginning were just awful.
Yes, and on the Web of Fear page, I had put up a couple of quotes, but I thought the best one was probably the person who had said, "Does the documentary explain who wrote the horrible final episode?"
Yeah,
Oh, well, as
yeah.
they put it, screwed up the ending.
It
Well,
did
I
feel
guess
like that.
that's subjective, but I think we've discussed it. We would have enjoyed a better ending. I don't think it wrapped
Mm.
up as I guess successfully or as satisfyingly as it could have.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the journey we took on the way there from episode one was really awesome. They showed the way they did a lot of the stuff from the first two episodes, including, and a bit of a spoiler, the plastic apocalypse, which was just amazing to see on screen. So yeah, definitely give it a watch if you've seen War Between the Land and the Sea, or you haven't and you're not too fussed about spoilers. The documentary is up on YouTube on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, so give that a watch. Well,
Yeah,
I
for sure.
think we'll move on to our next thing, which, speaking of YouTube, we'll jump into WhoTube. Now, you've got a lot of very funny videos up here on the screen. What did you want to talk about with these ones?
Yeah. So last week, well, YouTube is where we look about the historical, you know, the historical collection of videos of Doctor Who on YouTube, and we look at different things each week. This week, I thought rather than look at one video, we'd take a look at a selection of the comedy from different eras that is on YouTube, which still is hilarious. In some cases, it's the only place you can find it. In some places, in some cases, I was looking for stuff and it's totally gone as erased. Maybe the creators took it down, or maybe times have changed and it's just not appropriate anymore. I could not find on YouTube anymore the Rastafarian Cybermen, which is an extra on
Ah,
Earthshock. So not on YouTube anymore. But I was going to go through some of them and have a talk with you about them and see if you find them funny or not funny, or indeed if you've even seen them.
yeah, of course. Well, we'll go to the first one, which it looks like is one of the first things you actually showed me on YouTube with old Doctor Who stuff, and that is the Pakistani Dalek.
Yes,
Please
so this
explain.
is from Spike Milligan, who was one of the Goons, a famous British comedian, and it was from his series Q, which was a 60s and 70s show, and this was Pakistani Dalek. And the reason I put this up following the War Between the Land and the Sea is um, the whole joke of this, it's racist, of course, is the Dalek exterminates a lot of things, and after he exterminates the dog and the budgie and all this other stuff, he just says, "Put it in the curry," which is one of the sort of, I guess an ethnic slur against some of the immigrants to England in the 60s and 70s that, even Trump now has said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, that type of thing. So even though it's of its time, it's still kind of relevant in that way. And we just saw the Sea Devils eat all the dogs. So I guess you can still put that in a TV show that's current. So you had seen this. Did you find it offensive or funny?
It's very of its time. I had a good
Yes.
chuckle at it when you did show it to me a little while ago. It was quite funny, especially obviously the Gran at the end, and the little child Dalek as well, which I'd love to see, like a miniature kid Dalek on screen in actual Doctor Who. I think that would be absolutely hilarious, even though it makes zero sense whatsoever. But to know that they actually took the time to build that prop, as ridiculous as it is a very funny skit from a very funny old show.
Yes, where the mother asks, "How are you going with your homework, Johnny?" and he says, "Very good. I have destroyed it." That's exactly it's exactly what Terry Nation said about the Daleks. He said he always thought the Daleks were naughty children,
Mm.
and by seeing it personified in a comedy show, you can see what he was talking about. So we'll move on to the second one. Um, I thought we'd talk about, and this has a long comedy history with Doctor Who over the years. The last one was only just a few months ago when the new series ended, where they mocked the Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwa era. But it goes way, way back, and it's a radio TV series called Dead Ringers. Have you followed the history of Dead Ringers?
I have. I quite love his impressions, especially when he calls other Doctor Who actors, including Tom Baker himself, as Tom Baker's Doctor, and it is quite funny as well. The department store skits they do, which are a few special features on some of the Doctor Who DVDs, but they are absolutely hilarious, and I really did enjoy the sketch they did for the latest season of Doctor Who. I thought that was really really funny and quite bang on when it came to the show.
He died of cringe. Yes, John Coleshaw has become so, I guess, associated with Doctor Who. Big Finish have actually
Yes,
got his services, and he has played many different roles, including various doctors in the Big Finish productions as well. So
yeah.
that's how good he is at what he does.
Well, John Coleshaw has just been announced as Peter Capaldi's Doctor going forward in a I don't know if it's monthly or bi-monthly adventures series. So it's quite interesting to see that, started off obviously a Doctor Who fan in the, I'm assuming, late 90s, early 2000s was sort of that era, and then moving on to doing actual official Doctor Who stuff. So who knows? He might be the next Doctor.
You never know. At least you'd have some good voice work. Imagine him talking
Yes,
to himself. Yeah,
it would be very funny. You could do a multi-Doctor story with just him. Well, we're getting moved on.
yeah,
Now, this is one of my favorite shows, 8 out of 10 Cats, and also 8 out of 10 Cats does count down. So I hadn't seen
yes.
this, and when you sent this through to me yesterday, I gave this clip a watch, and it was very funny because I absolutely love Sean Locke and his deadpan
Yeah.
humor. Yeah, very funny to
I
see.
can't believe you haven't seen it. This is like 10th Planet. It's one of those iconic clips where, and I thought, being a fan of this show, you would have seen this for sure, but it is very funny. And it is one of those things that shows beyond sort of the niche Doctor Who funny comedy clips that are aimed at fans and sort of talk down to fans or just appeal to fans who know sort of inside information about the comedy. This is more of a general clip that anyone can watch because it does really capture the spirit of fandom and what people like about fandom and just what people who aren't fans think of the show. Where Sean Locke's like, this is just stupid. Like, there are no rules. They can do anything. And just by saying what a lot of people I know who have sat and watched Doctor Who with me think, it appeals and reaches a different audience. But it is also funny to Doctor Who fans as well because it's absolutely true and spot on.
It really is. It did show. I think this was aired when the 50th was just coming out, which was, I'm assuming, in Britain, a massive time. The BBC were pumping out promo and publicity for the 50th anniversary, and that was why they were talking about it on 8 out of 10 Cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do wonder what episode Sean Locke is referring to that he had watched, whether it was the 50th or whether it was an old one that he tuned into and just, yeah, he just doesn't understand Doctor Who, much like another
I
old
get
guy that we know very well.
who maybe produced this show. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny, and Jimmy Carr's reaction is always classic. And for those who are interested, yes, he is hilarious, and he's touring Australia in May, and I think tickets are still available. I am going because I think
Mhm.
Jimmy Carr's hilarious.
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, we'll have to leave YouTube there for next time, but now we're getting into a segment that I quite love, and I'm sure a lot of people watching love as well, and that is the destruction of time, because some Doctor Who is lost forever, or is it? So let's have a look at
Well,
what you've put up today.
well, last week we were talking about Film is Fabulous and their attempts to um, get Doctor Who out of collections, and we were talking about how there are known collections with Doctor Who episodes in. But we're talking tonight about collections where there may be Doctor Who, but no one knows what's in them because they're deceased estates, and you've got people dealing with large collections and different formats in different condition that no one can watch and generally gets thrown out. Now, everyone is going to think I'm banging on about this huge Hoarders collection that I saved a couple of years ago, but no, it's happened again where I've just cleaned out a deceased estate, and it was from someone who I think was in fandom and would know what was what. And the family threw a whole lot of it out before we got there, and what they threw out, it seems the most, was the old films and the old videotape material that was potentially the most interesting stuff. And this time, because it had happened before, I didn't go through the shock and the denial and the depression. It was just like, okay, this happens, so let's just see what's here. And there probably wouldn't have been Doctor Who in this one. Probably. I did find a couple of items of Doctor Who merchandise in this person's collection, so he was a little bit of a fan. I did find pictures of him with Paul McGann, so he had gone to conventions and met the Doctor. But I do think that this person, if they had anything that they knew was missing, would probably have returned it. That said, I found a lot of potentially missing material, and interesting enough that I've sent some of it back to the UK, which is very exciting. It's not Doctor Who. It's a TV show called Hancock's Half Hour. So for anyone who knows missing material, Doctor Who is one of the holy grails. If that sort of turns up, everyone's excited. But that's just Doctor Who fans. There's a lot of other stuff that people are looking for, and Tony Hancock would be in the top 10. Now, I don't know what we actually got. That doesn't really help much, but there were 4 tapes that looked like they were from the 60s. One of them was a master tape removed from a television station, which has do not remove, do not erase, of a show that he was on. If you look on that little green sticker, it's Submaster Caution, do not erase this tape. And then it had stick it all over it, do not remove from the television station, and do not cut, and do not do all this other stuff. And somehow it ended up in this guy's collection because obviously it was thrown out at some point, or maybe liberated. But that show does exist, but this is the master of it, so it probably is in better condition than the one that's actually existing in the archives, which is exciting because, you know, we've got the restoration team and various people who, you know, restore it, so we can look at this media in the best possible quality we can get it. But the next slide shows some really interesting stuff, and I dealt with the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society, which is where Paul Venices and the restoration team and a couple of websites pointed me onto because they know everything about Tony Hancock. And 2 of the tapes were videotapes, but the notation on them said it was 8mm film filmed in Australia that had been converted to videotape, and these were the videotapes. And the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society didn't know of any 8mm film from Australia. So this could actually be missing material. And the sad thing about Tony Hancock's life, he toured Australia in the late 60s, sort of after his career had taken a downturn, and it wasn't so well received, and different various things didn't go to plan when he was filming his Hancock Down Under, and sadly he took his own life in Australia. So if there is 8mm footage of one of his shows, or even outside a hotel, or just footage of him, it could be some of the very last footage that exists of Tony Hancock. So even if it's only 30 seconds or a couple of minutes, that's really exciting. So I think the lesson from this is, if we can make people aware and raise awareness of missing material, it's a hard thing to do because I deal with people who are dealing with deceased estates, and they're usually not in a very good way because they're dealing with a tragedy, a loss of a loved one in the family. Or the other end of that is they've been dumped with the responsibility of clearing an estate. We all have busy lives, and the last thing we want to do, if we've become like someone's power of attorney or we're overseeing stuff, suddenly to have this dumped on you where you have to clean out an estate and get it sold or get it to beneficiaries and things like that. I totally understand that's a lot of work, and most people just go, everything goes out and we sell the actual land and house because that's where the money is. And I guess you can't really change people's mind if they don't see the value of old material. Even if they hear that stuff is missing, they probably don't, put much stock in it because we are fans and we love this stuff. And if they just see old tapes and they've got Doctor Who or Tony Hancock, which would probably be something that most Australians wouldn't even know, they probably don't care. They probably throw it out. So we have to, I guess, work on people's awareness. So when stuff like this happens, if there's enough podcasts or webcasts or YouTube things about it, maybe it'll dent this sort of national subconscious of when like stuff is thrown out, is there anything important there that can be saved? And I know from just doing my own part, I've actually spoken to waste disposal companies and said, this is what happened. It happened because we went back to the original one that destroyed a lot of the first deceased estate that had potentially missing stuff in. And they said, yeah, these turn up, once or twice a year, this size, or in some cases you get a huge one once a month and you're just shocked about how much gets thrown out. And since that time, they have, one of the guys who runs it has come around with carloads of cans and film cans and old tapes for me. There's been nothing of interest, but at least I was hysteric enough for it to, get him go, well, I pass you when I go by. If I see anything like that, I'll donate it. And that has happened a couple of times. So I guess it's one of those things where you try and, make the person realize if there is something missing there, it's a legacy that makes their loved one remembered. I mean, it's one of those things that hard to do to sort of get someone to understand why it's important. But if you can flip it back that, this is going to make that person remembered and people are going to be thankful for them, maybe at least that way they see something they're getting out of it, because usually there's no monetary value or reward for anything like this. So it's just a case of making people aware that they don't throw something exciting out.
Absolutely. Well, as Guy has said here, yeah, let people know that there is this kind of stuff out there potentially, so that if they do come across it, they can reach out to someone like our resident vigilante Aaron here, as Kelvin has well put it. We'll move on from there, but everyone, please do remember, if you do find anything of interest like that, bring it to Aaron, bring it to the BBC, something like that. If you don't know how to get in touch with them, Aaron does. So yeah, bring it through.
The other important thing is, in Australia, we're more likely to have some of the material that is of interest, because in England, they didn't show stuff off of the film prints that they made for export. They came out here for export, and usually when they went back to the UK, they were destroyed. But if they didn't go back, they could be sitting in someone's garage or in someone's place. And it is that time now where people who grew up and collected this stuff are sadly getting to the age where they're passing away. And that's what we've seen in the UK in the last, couple of months, where a couple of collectors who have, coming to the end of their lives are organising, splitting up their collection, or indeed someone has passed away and it looks like missing materials coming back. In Australia, I don't know really if there's any organisation for actually, trying to go out and preserve this stuff. So even people who find it, if they do a search online, they're not going to find much. So yeah, if we can just keep the awareness up, we could find something amazing in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our resident vigilante Aaron here will be on the lookout for any missing material. We'll move on now to mastering eBay with our favorite person, the master. Last week we had a chat about the latest character options, toys, as well as the Japanese website Jouse. What have you got in store for us today? Or more likely, what has the master got in store for us today?
Well, it's lucky he loves to talk about merchandise and it's one of his favorite subjects. But as always, we look at things that, cheap or unusual or super expensive, or tips for using the internet, or where else to look apart from eBay, where you might find some of these amazing collectibles that you're looking for. So I think we're looking at interesting items first. And this one was a weird one because the two Daleks that were sold in this were custom Daleks, but instead of being custom Daleks from the TV series, they were actually large-scale Daleks based on the game pieces from the War of the Daleks 70s board game, which is a great game and came with, I think, 12 little Daleks, or maybe I don't know, but there was two different teams of Daleks, the silver ones and the gold ones, and it's hard to find a complete set of War of the Daleks, and they go for a bit. But someone has customized larger scale ones, and I love custom stuff, and some of it goes for a bit, but two of these went for over $700, which is kind of crazy. Where I always think if I was going to invest that, I would probably prefer to buy a mint example of the original game, which probably goes for half that. Do you like those Dalek designs?
They are very cool, especially because they are from an old game. I appreciate customs, but personally don't really have any custom collectibles in my collection just because there isn't sort of a historical background to them. I do have some things from people that I know who have made them, and it's mainly I like them because they were made by that person and not because of what they are. But they do look quite cool, especially because they're based off of the original artwork.
Yeah, I have one or two customs, but I'm like you. I probably prefer the originals. Now, this is another interesting one. As I was scrolling through sold items, these were actually next to each other. And this is one of those crazy things we looked at last week where the original items and new items can almost be the same value. And it is crazy how this happens. So we've got the very rare $13 box set there that went for $849.19 Australian. The crazy thing about this, they were in Icon in their scratch and dent sale for $40 each, and they $80 each, and they had a couple of pallets of them. So they were around, and there was a few of them, and I did buy a couple and did resell them, but not anywhere close to that amount. And below that, we have a set of original Denny Fisher figures,
Gee.
or Dennis Fisher figures from the 70s. I don't think the Dalek was there, but all the other ones were there. If I was going to invest $850 on collectibles, I would have not a second thought in buying the original 70s ones. They have an amazing charm. And with the new figures, I can understand people do want to get the set in every single variant. But the way things are going, we know that every figure is going to be reissued. It's only a very top tier number of people that want it because they want every single variant. I do understand the value in them because they are hard to find, but I don't see the value in them compared to other stuff that I think is a lot rarer.
Yeah, and it's also crazy to see that those vintage toys only had one bid. It looks like they might not be on everyone's radar.
It could be it was a buy it now, which I do think shows up as one bid
Right.
when it's purchased. So I'm not sure on that, but yeah, it's just a comparison from the two different eras. When we looked at last week, the 60s Dalek and the Bernice Summerfield, you know, coffee, drink tray, CD. It's
Coffee
another
coaster.
one of those. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I also are from a different generation, like the aesthetic and like to collect the 60s and 70s, and sometimes forget that there's a lot more people that collect the character option stuff in the shop. That is probably our number one seller. So it shouldn't surprise me some of the rare sets are attaining those prices on the secondary market.
Mm. Yeah. Well, the next thing here, you've got a few TARDISes up on the screen, and I can see there's obviously a bit of a comparison going on here between the latest 15th Doctor TARDIS, which also has an insert for the 13th because it is the same exterior, and then also the 12th Doctor's TARDIS from back in what, 2014, 15 sort of time.
Yeah, so I can ask you, and I'll
Yeah.
see if you know, why did that TARDIS, and this is sold items, go for $12,000?
12 Doctor Who. Was it for the anniversary?
No, it's exactly the same TARDIS that's going for 27 sold for 79. Buy it now.
Right.
And this is
I don't know. I
so this
really
is
don't
one
know
of
why
those
someone
things
would
that
would pay that much.
they didn't. It's one of those things I have people come in and ask me all the time in the shop, why did this item go for so much? All the other ones are going for $100. This one went for 10,000. Why did it go for so much? Is it money laundering? Happens a
The
lot on
decimal
Lego
play.
sets as well. It's actually a placeholder. The person who sold that TARDIS is a shop, and they've sold out of ones in stock. And it's much easier to put a price on their active auction that no one would ever buy until they get new stock in, and then they lower it back down, rather than have the auction go inactive and them have to put the auction together again. So one of those tips, if you're ever going through and you see a crazy price and you think no one would buy it for that price, what's going on? No one did buy it for that price. And it is one of those things, occasionally someone slips and doesn't put a decimal point in or something like that. But I can tell you 99% of the time when there's an item, and that's like the most expensive sold item on eBay, they've redone the auction to keep it as a placeholder after the auction's ended. And even that might have gone for $79 because they've redone it. That auction will show of going for what they've put in now, which is the $12,000, like the crazy amount. So that's one of those little tips. It's not really a tip, but a little bit of knowledge. So if you want to know why some auctions seem to go for just crazy prices, that is why.
Well, there you go. And is there any particular reason that the 12th Doctor TARDIS was going for 850?
That is a genuine bid. That's what they're going for. I'm
Right.
shocked because, again, we got a lot of them from the scratch and dent. There are a lot of them around in the warehouses and things, and we did see that one was a hard one to get and was going for a couple of $100, and then I've seen some go for $500, and that's a new high that I've seen that's going for. So again, it's the character option stuff, the rarer stuff, and the less produced stuff. And indeed, some of the stuff from the Capaldi era that didn't sell in huge numbers, like Matt Smith and David Tennant, is now obtaining like that rarity and high prices online.
Well, there you go. Do you want to answer this one, Aaron? Jack Pack has asked, what is a placeholder?
So if you're a shop, you can have a whole lot of items that are ready to go. And so I sell collectibles, so usually I only have one of each item, but a shop might have 30 of each item because they need a case of them, and they have one auction go off, and they can sell that same auction 30 times. When all 30 have sold, the auction can end and disappear, or you can put a stupid price on that auction on the last one you've got, and the auction won't disappear. And then when you get your next case from the distributor through, you put the price back down. So the price placeholder is the higher priced one that no one will bid. And if someone bids on that and pays for it, good luck. You've just sold one for a stupid price.
Well, there you go. Well, last week we had a chat about Joust and how the Japanese versions of the old 80s Target books were very obtainable on that website. And it looks like here you've got another bit of a trick in the bargain basement with some other foreign language editions of Doctor Who.
Yeah, so one of the things that we were looking at last week is there isn't just eBay, even though eBay probably is 99% of the online sales in auction websites. You don't have to go to eBay to do stuff, and a lot of people only use eBay exclusively. One of the tricks I've found for getting rare books, if you get these are the finished Doctor Who books, which are some of the rarest Doctor Who books to find. They don't even turn up on eBay very much. But if you get the local language translation of them, and you do a search for that, the first couple of pages on Google will actually be Doctor Who list sites that say, Doctor Who and the Cave Monsters was produced by 8 different countries, and list them. But after you get through all the sort of big ones, you get to the smaller shops. And if you find any Finnish shops that accept PayPal, you can quite easily get them in Australia. Now, I have seen these books go from £200 to £500 each on eBay. Last week, I found one bookshop in eBay that had 3 of them. One was £12, I think one was £16, and one was a crazy £18. No, sorry, euros. So I bought all of those, and the postage was just about as much as the books. So they should land here for about $120 for the 3. And then after I bought them, I did find another shop that had one of the Dinosaur Invasion in stock for £12 again. So any of you want to have a look out there, Google it in Finnish, and about the third page of results on eBay, you can get one for £12 that usually go for at least £200 on eBay.
Wow, there you go. Well, that is a great little tidbit. Just like Joust last week, there are, it seems many Finnish websites out there that can offer you a pretty good deal. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this year for Valentine's Day this weekend, we spent it at Dags's place and probably had the cheapest Valentine's Day Australia has ever seen. We had pizza and watched Tomb of the Cybermen. Aaron, let's exhume the tomb.
So yes, as other people were going out and whining and dining on Valentine's Day, Dags was just whining because we made him watch Tomb of the Cybermen. And we went all out and got 2 pizzas and some drinks and garlic bread. And it was the cheapest Valentine's Day that I've had in a while because I didn't put any money in. So I got that for free. So that was pretty good. But I provided the entertainment, and we watched Tomb of the Cybermen on the request of the Soul Greg King, because
Yes.
Nick had mentioned he hadn't seen Tomb of the Cybermen on our show last week, and surprise, surprise, Dags hadn't watched it as well. So we went round and watched it for Valentine's Day. And what was Dags' reaction? Did you think he liked it?
Oh, I think we're going to have to pull up Dags's reaction here on screen. We've got a little video for you of the man himself. Well, we're just going to wait.
So, what did you think of it? What did you think of it?
Wow! It was absolutely fantastic. Doctor Who every day. Yeah, mate. What's the next episode? What's the next episode?
So,
yes, he did have a fun time.
Much like what humans do to Cybermen, we have converted him into one of us. So yes, and I think Dags is giving it a Crinoid Fresh rating, which we think this should be a common occurrence. Oh, he's trying to move us on by putting pictures.
I know. No, I've told him to go back. I've messaged him in the private chat saying, "Go back, go back. We have to hear the opinion."
So it hasn't. It isn't a special Valentine's Day this weekend, but every day is a special day if you watch Doctor Who at Dags's place. So which one should we watch next, Greg? Nick has watched Seeds of Doom, but he hasn't seen it for about, 15 years?
Probably about 15 years. So if Greg, if that is the episode that you want me to give my opinion on next week, we will do Seeds of Doom. There we go. He's put it in there. Seeds of Doom. He absolutely loves his crinoids.
And the best thing about Seeds of Doom is it's 6 episodes long, so we get a third longer watching with Dags on the weekend. So
fantastic.
If anyone wants to suggest an episode for Dags, put your thinking caps on and tell us next week.
Absolutely. Well, I quite enjoyed Tomb of the Cybermen. That's one of the few Troughton episodes I've seen. And so far, every Troughton episode I've seen is fantastic. So I'm a little bit of the mind of, was Troughton our most consistent Doctor besides probably Tom out there? Claws of Axos before they turn green. Yes, Claws of Axos. That one I have seen quite recently, but maybe we do have to get Jack to watch that one.
Troughton is my favourite Doctor, and I think he isn't a lot of people's favourites, but what I do find with Patrick Troughton, no fans kind of go, but I can't stand Patrick Troughton. A lot of Doctors, you will find someone who doesn't like them, but Patrick Troughton is consistently good, in my opinion. So if we move on to the picture of the shop, that's my shop, Aaron's Collectibles. As I mentioned at the start of the show, I've been upstairs sorting massive collections. We've been doing Harry Potter, Viewmasters, lobby cards and posters. We've been doing books. A big collection of Space Lego came in. That's tipped up upstairs all over the place. I don't know why I did that, because that's going to take me ages to sort. Trading cards, statues, action figures. It's getting overwhelming too. So much is coming into the shop. I can't even get it priced and down into the shop before the next collection comes in. And the temptation is to move on to the next collection, because more fabulous stuff comes in and you never get anything done because you're looking at collection after collection. So at the moment, we're getting some really good high-end stuff through, lots of collectibles from all different eras. So if you are in the area, come in and say hi. And anyone who watches the website, or indeed is in any local fan clubs, can mention that, and they would get 10% off their purchases.
And we've also got coming up, not this weekend, but I believe the weekend after, the one and only Louise Jameson, who played the wonderful Leela in Tom Baker's generation of Doctor Who, coming into the shop on Saturday, the 28th of February from 1 till 2, and you can get your free autograph from her with any shop purchase.
Yes, so we've had a string of Doctor Who celebrities that just can't keep out of the shop. They love us. And the latest one is Louise Jameson. So keep that time spare. It's the 28th of February from 1 till 2. She'll be in the shop doing signings and meeting with fans. So that'll be an amazing event. So come on down and you can have a chat with us as well.
But remember, don't chat to me, don't chat to Aaron, you've got to chat to Dags, because he absolutely loves talking Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Maybe we should make him watch Face of Evil so he can actually talk to Louise Jameson, instead of like saying to some of the guests we've had, "Oh, are you the actor from Doctor Who?"
Yes, we have had quite a number of occasions where the guest has rocked up and Dags hasn't known whether to let them in or not, but that's all right. That brings us to the end of our show this week. If you're a Star Trek fan, tune in tomorrow night. Dags and I will be back reviewing last week's episode of Starfleet Academy. But other than that, that is all from us. Thank you very much, Aaron, for joining me this evening to talk some Docky Who here on the Who Report. And everyone, remember, get your suggestions in for more episodes to torture Dags to watch.
Well, that's a good way of selling it to him, isn't it? Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for being around tonight. Thanks for joining in and for all the comments. And hopefully we'll see you back here next week.
All right. See you, everyone.
Have a good night.